All right, you've got your equation, x squared plus 3x minus 18, and we need to rewrite it in vertex form and find h. All right, so parentheses around the first two, divide by 1. I get 1x squared. What's 3 divided by 1? 3. And plus a blank. Minus 18 goes on the outside, and minus a blank. Let's go ahead and just put a 1 in front. I know some of y'all know we don't need to do that, but I think it will be helpful for some people. Okay? All right, take half of 3. Half of 3. You can use your calculator, 3 divided by 2, or you can do 1/2 times 3. Either way, you get the same answer. I get 1.5. What else do I have to do with that? Square it. So you hit your square button, and I get 2.25. So that goes here, 2.25. 2.25. And then to get the number that goes in this blank, I have to multiply these two. When it's a 1, 1 times 2.25 is still 2.25. Okay? All right. Drop down your 1, and again, you could leave that out because it's a 1. X squared is always going to become x. You're going to drop down that sign. This is a plus, so your answer is going to have a plus in it. And you do the half. What's half of 3? 1.5. Half goes in your answer, and the square goes on the outside. Then I put these two together. Negative 18 minus, what is it? 2.25, and you get negative 20.25. Okay? All right, so we've done all the work, but we have to answer the question. What is the value of h? Okay, and here's the formula for you. H is in the parentheses. All right, what's in the parentheses? 1.5, what do I have to do with it?
Square it.
Make it negative. Here's why. Here's why. There's a minus in the parentheses already. There's already a minus. So it's negative 1.5. Let me explain that a little better. If I put x minus, if I do the formula x minus, if I plug in negative 1.5, what will minus a negative turn it into? A plus. And is that what we have in our work? So you do the opposite if it's in parentheses. So your answer is negative 1.5. Okay? Questions? All right, number 2, the equation negative 2x squared minus 3x minus 3 is rewritten in the form negative 2 parentheses x minus p squared plus q equals 0. What is the value of q? Okay, I have no idea what q is, so I'm just going to have to look here. Q is going to be the number where? Outside. Okay, it's going to be the number outside the parentheses. So let's go ahead and do our steps. Parentheses around the first two. Parentheses around the first two. Then what do I do?
Divide by negative 2.
Go ahead. Yes, it is. And so if they asked you what k was, k would be negative 20.25. You wouldn't change that one. Okay? Yep, good question. All right, divide by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1, x squared. Negative 3 divided by negative 2? Negative 3 divided by negative 2? Positive or negative? Positive 1.5x plus a blank minus 3 minus a blank. What number goes out front?
Negative 2.
Very good, negative 2. Okay? All right, to get the number that goes in the blank, I'm going to take 1.5 and divide by 2 and square it. And square it. 0.5625. 0.5625. And how do I get the number that goes in the next blank? Multiply those two. So times negative 2, I get negative 1.125. Okay? All right, I'm ready for my last step. Drop down negative 2 x squared becomes x. Drop down the plus. And I don't drop down 1.5. What do I have to do with 1.5? Half it, okay? So what was 1.5 divided by 2? It was 0.75. Square goes on the outside. What about here, minus a negative? Turns into a positive, so it's negative 3 plus 1.125. Negative 1.875. All right. Give everybody a minute to make sure they have that written down. All right, what was this question asking? What was Q? And is Q inside the parentheses or outside?
Outside.
Outside. So what is Q? Is it positive or negative?
It's positive. This is a plus right here. No, you switch.
Okay, the one outside doesn't get changed because it's plus Q, which means this must be a negative number, negative 1.875. Okay. How could I turn that into a fraction? What would I hit on my calculator? Math, enter, enter. Sometimes they have them as fractions on the exam. Okay, so math, enter, enter. All right, number 3, 2x squared minus 8x equals negative 10 is rewritten in the form 2 parentheses x minus p squared plus q equals 0. What is the value of q? What's different about this one that we haven't done before? We got an equals. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. I would need to move the negative 10 over there. What would it become if I moved it across the equals? Positive. So let's go ahead and write this. 2x squared minus 8x plus 10. Let's just write that and work with that. 2x squared minus 8x plus 10. The negative 10 becomes positive if you're going to put it all together. So when it moves across the equals, it changes signs. Okay? All right, what do I do next? Parentheses, then what? Divide by 2. So I get 1x squared, negative 8 divided by 2, negative 4x plus a blank. What else? Plus 10. Very good. And what goes out front? The 2. Okay. All right, how do I get the number that goes in the blank? All right, half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. Okay. How do I get the number that goes here? 2 times 4 is 8, okay? All right, for the final step, I'm gonna drop down the 2. All right, so I keep the 2. What does x squared become? X. And is this one a minus or a plus? A minus. And I don't write 4, write half of it. Put your square on the outside. And 10 minus 8? 2. Okay. All right, go back and read the question. What was this one asking for? For Q. And look, what did they say Q was? Q was the outside one. So Q is 2. That is Q. Okay. All right, last one, guys. The equation 3x squared equals 4x plus 2 is rewritten in the form 3 parentheses x minus p squared plus q equals 0. What is the value of p? All right, so if I look at this, I've got to do an extra step on that one. What do I have to do?
You gotta move it.
I got to move everything to one side. So let's move everything towards the x squared. So it would be 3x squared. Yep, keep going, Aleon.
3x squared minus 4x minus 2.
Very good. So when it crosses the equals, the 4x was positive, so it becomes negative, and the 2 becomes negative. Okay? All right, put my parentheses in. Then what? Good. Divide by 3. So that's going to give me 1x squared. All right, and I need to show y'all this real quick. If you do negative 4 divided by 3, what do you get? You get a repeating decimal. So we need to do fractions on this one. So math, enter, enter. We're going to have to do fractions on this. So negative 4/3 x. What else? Plus a blank. Good. And what goes in front?
No, you switched it. Because you across the equal.
Yep. What goes in front?
3x. 4, 3.
Just 3. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take this. It's already on my calculator, and I'm going to hit divide by 2. And then I have to square it. So I'll hit the square button. And I get 4 over 9 for that one. I get 4 over 9. How do I get the number that goes in this blank? Multiply by 3. So I'm just going to hit times 3. Let the calculator do all the work. Times 3. And it gives me 4 over 3. Okay. All right. Drop down the 3. X squared becomes? X. Is this one x plus or x minus?
Minus.
X minus. And it's not 4/3, it's what half was. So I'm going to have to take 4/3 and divide it by 2 again to see what that was. That's 2/3. Okay. And then put these two together. -2 minus parentheses. Put your fractions in parentheses. 4/3. Math, enter, enter. -10 over 3. Okay. All right, what's this one asking for?
Value of P. No. Yeah, positive.
Sorry. All right, this one's asking for P, and if you look at the formula, P is on the inside of the parentheses. So what do we have on the inside? We got -2/3, but it becomes +2/3. So that's your final answer, +2/3.